so a lot of those areas, they have probably 4 moccasin bluffs. Where those guys, most of the guys don't wanna go around the houses, they go up on these areas that are city-owned, that don't have houses around, and that's where they hunt. There are certain areas on the edges, but I know part of their regulations, you can't dress a deer, you know, in the city limits, so if you kill a deer in the city limits, you can't kill it, which is common sense, but you gotta put it there so people, you know, roll the deer up and move it. But that is why it's interesting. St. Charles is going through the same thing right now. I just met with them a couple weeks ago. Is the smaller communities, it's a little bit tougher because we don't have, you know, there's just not those big tracts of land where hunters can get away and still hunt the deer that are the problem. So
And
it makes
the deer
it makes
that
it
are
tricky.
the problem are the does, not necessarily the bucks, which.
Well, not necessarily, but if you're trying to impact the population, you want to go for females. You know, so
Exactly, and that's
Yeah.
our issue.
yeah.
If there is an issue, it would be the size of the population on that's adjacent to the habitat, or the livable areas.
Sure.
For people who are trying to grow flowers just because they love flowers,
Right.
they can't eat them, so.
Yep.
Right, Dennis? You don't eat your own flowers, just the deer eat them?
They like them.
Yeah. They like my
But-
tomatoes too.
I honestly believe there's 75 to 85% of the people in town that want them deer out of here. There's probably as many, one group over here is at least 40, 45 in a group. And they've even, Jim Johnson, Richardson, said he's seen up to 7.
And then if that's the case, then the people gotta realize that it's possible that somebody may shoot a deer and it may die in their backyard. There's just no way to get around it when you're around houses and people, it's just gonna happen.
Legally, Adam, what would be, let's say I went up on Moccasin Bluff, got my permit, went up there with my bow, double lunged a deer, and it runs down the hill and it dies in
My backyard.
your backyard.
And Steve loves the deer.
And Steve loves deer, and he says, no, you killed it, but you can't get it. You can't trespass.
And Mitch deals with this all the
Yeah,
time.
that's recreational trespass instead of criminal trespass, so if it's non-wooded ground or non-agricultural land, a person can retrieve the deer unless it's posted. Or if somebody comes out and tells them to leave. So, which is gonna be difficult to deal with, because if the deer's laying there and the guy's got his hands on the deer and he's starting to drag it out, and somebody comes out and says, get off my property, and, you know, it gets to be a little bit of a sticky area, you know, but unless it's posted, and I don't think anybody's interested in having everybody post their yard, retrieval is allowed.
And the
Posted
definition
signs.
of legally posted is,
All corners of the property, and then any driveway that comes into that property have to be legally posted once a year, and they have to follow the signage requirements given by the statute, which is so vague, it's gotta be signed. And I guarantee you, if you pass it, you'll have somebody that loves the deer that probably is gonna post his land, or their land. That's, you just can't get away with that here. I mean, someone's gonna do it.
Just had a conversation with the postal clerk, Mrs. Dave Johnson, that's her first name, Kathy or something like that. Anyway, today, she was talking to me about big planters out back of her, in front of her house. They were nice. Saturday, Sunday morning, they told you about. She was mad at me, I said, well, we'll do something about it. And I think, well, we gotta do something. They are literally ruining flowers, trees.
Do you have Adam, what would you envision this to be?
ideally, I would like to keep it as it is with no hunting in the city. I would like to see the area around us hunted, you know, whether it's the wooded areas in the village.
Which they pretty much are, aren't they? I mean, we have guys that hunt the river bottoms, and that, some of
Yeah.
that might even be borderline in the city, but it's,
Right.
I think it's always been pretty much allowed.
I know as Rushford grows or the village grows, we are moving and putting our houses into areas that the deer have always lived. Something's gotta give, I guess. If it's the deer or the flowers or trees, you know, it's up to you guys. If we were to go, I would like to see, just going with what the first option that Mitch had laid out. You know, the archery hunting only. You'd have to set up the areas, you know, on this side of the road, they can only shoot one deer. People aren't gonna shoot a doe. They're gonna wait for a big buck that has been living in an apple orchard up on top of the park. And then somebody else will get mad because they shot their buck that they had a picture of that they wanted to shoot. Mitch deals with that quite a bit.
That is gonna be one of the biggest stickiest thing is, okay, you allow archery hunting in the city, they have to go shoot a shooting permit, they do all that, and let's say, they have to be in a deer stand 4 feet off the ground like you do in Redwood. And somebody goes up on the bluff, and everybody's hunting this buck, because you can allow to shoot a buck, and he is in an industry stand, and he shoots the biggest buck, it's a monster. What do you do with him?
Who enforces
What do you do
that?
with the buck? I can't enforce an ordinance, so it falls on his shoulders. Okay, what do we do at that point? Because I guarantee you, the easy thing is to say, don't shoot any bucks. But, okay, now it's no bucks, it's does only. What do you do with the guy that does shoot a buck? You know, that is the issue, and I don't know what,
Because the
civil
state allows
ordinances
him with
are.
that tag to shoot a buck or a doe.
Yeah, all he's gotta do is say, I shot it out of city limits. But everybody and their brother who lives here knows that buck, that he's never been off the bluff for 6 months or 10 years or whatever. And, you know, that's what happens around cities. You can't get away from it because the deer grow large in the edge of cities because nobody hunts them. And so, I don't know what the other cities do about it. I don't know what Redwood does about it. I don't know what Rochester does about it. But that is, you know, those ordinances are kind of falling on his shoulder.
I'm just a little confused because Red Wing, their season is from April to December. They only allow hunting in certain areas, Memorial Park, Coon Hill, Oakwood Cemetery, Sand Hill Water Tower.
Yep.
And then they have a special earn a buck. So they can, if they get a antlerless deer, then they can get a buck.
See, right, but you gotta understand, that's a special, they're a special hunt. So they're
Right.
listed as a special hunt. So what happened is exactly what we're talking about. Guys started hunting that, and they weren't killing does.
Right.
So they said, all right, you wanna shoot the bucks in town, you gotta shoot a doe first.
Then
it's a
you can
great-
shoot a buck.
Then you can shoot a buck. So now they're killing 2 deer.
Right.
But they're hunting areas again that aren't around any houses. I've been down there, I've hunted in that hunt. There's places there where you think you're out in the middle of nowhere.
There are a lot of people though, take advantage of that.
Yeah, a fair amount, yeah.
I'm worried about that too, you get too many hunters in a small area.
Well, that's exactly the thing with the Red Wing, it's a special hunt. I would've never gone up there if it wasn't a special hunt. I mean, I didn't know anything about it, so I went up there as, you know, and they give you a map, areas that are open to hunting within the city limits, that's where you go, and then there's, and you've probably seen it, but if there's a list of regulations that they have to follow to hunt within the city. So,
That's where I get stuck, cause I don't know where in this city you'd have enough room to do that. I mean, we want people shooting on Mogelson Bluff, you got a lot of people that
We have walking
hike up there.
trails.
well, looking at this, people are gonna hunt right behind the houses or way up on top. They're not gonna hunt the lawn. So you just well take that part right out of it. They're gonna hunt where the deer are, and they're gonna be right behind the houses or up on top and over. If that's still city land. I know it's within the city limits, but I don't know what exactly is city land.
Is that
but-
why Lynn's there?
But all that ground, right off of 30 there behind those houses, is that city property, the bottom side of Mago? That's where I'd go,
Yeah.
because that's where you see them. They're not gonna go up on that prairie, the deer aren't gonna be there.
No, but on the north side, they're all trails.
But it's city ground,
Some of it is, not all
yeah,
of it.
so they could go there as well.